I found that I think I'm on the right path in terms of like meeting people in Montreal, but I think I'm just going to stay on that path, and I'm trying not to expect too much from people. But I think Montreal as a whole is a great place to meet people and find lots of cool, interesting people. But I think there also is a certain level where you have to put yourself like out there, and like you have to kind of take advantage of what you have, you know?
Well, I'd say I like this place. I like Quebec. You know, I'm actually from Italy myself, but I like it here. I like it here. And you know what? The people are a little bit more open than other cities.
I've been in a little place of like healing, which entailed like a lot more like sadness than usual. That I think like the joy that I've been feeling is always like seeing people that I really like love spending time with.
I guess it was like I was just searching for maybe that one or two people that really like shared my outlook on life, or not it doesn't even have to be like a shared, like I don't mind being with friends that are incredibly different from me. I actually prefer it. But I guess it was more so like, do you appreciate some of the things that I appreciate? Like, do you like art? Do you believe that like things in the, like there's more than meets the eye to the world? Are you a bit maybe more like, I guess, spiritually inclined? Are you an open-minded person? Like do you like love people? Do you enjoy people? I don't know. And I guess I didn't really find that.
Well, I feel like the people that are closest to me now too, like I didn't actively like seek them out almost. Like they kind of just like came to me. And when I like actively seeked out friendships, they just kind of like never worked.
Alors au contraire, je trouvais par rapport aux amis, je trouvais que j'avais pas vraiment des vrais amis et que c'était plus des relations, pas pérennes quoi. C'était des potes de classe et tout ça. Et puis j'étais beaucoup moins exigeant, donc si quelqu'un voulait être pote avec moi, bah, je disais oui, tu vois.
Yeah, I've been feeling like a lot of loneliness recently, which I feel like is something like I never thought I would like say out loud, because I feel like loneliness felt so big and like heavy. Every time I'd feel it, it'd feel like it was like weighing me down. Um, and it was only like maybe this summer that I started like vocalizing when I was feeling lonely, and the more I like tell people when I'm feeling lonely, my friends would just take it like, oh yeah, that's so normal, and then it like justifies and tells me that it's normal.
I'm gonna try to like drop some of the ideas I had, like I guess in previous years, about maybe being a bit too like closed off. And I was like, well, even if you don't have people to do these things with, just like try and do them by yourself. And I guess if you're following like kind of what you love, then the people that I guess you're meant to be with will find you in those things that you love, you know?
Unconditional love doesn't exist. Why? Because there's always a condition by having respect at the beginning of it. If you don't have that, you don't have love. So it's impossible to have unconditional love by anybody.
Je trouve que quand tu grandis, tu deviens beaucoup plus exigeant et ça permet aussi de construire des amitiés qui sont beaucoup plus longues et vraies, quoi, qui sont assez durables.
If I ever had that chance to be popular to any extent, this park would be filled with barbecues and all kinds of things that would make people happy, because that's what I would want. Not to give back, to share, where I can have fun too.
Ça, je ne peux pas encore trop le dire, mais ce que j'ai vu pour l'instant, déjà, c'est que vous avez les médias un peu partout. Comme en France un peu, mais là, c'est vraiment partout. Genre, dans le métro, il y a des informations en continu. Donc, je trouve que je sais pas, le fait d'avoir peut-être beaucoup d'écrans ici, télé, peut-être que ça facilite plus la transmission des médias.
They're trying really hard to like get you to just like stay on the platform, and you could like refresh, and there's like 5 more updates, and it's like I think it also contributes to like the desensitization that a lot of people are experiencing towards like human pain.
I believe in the act of witnessing, the necessity of witnessing atrocities as they happen. And it's perhaps because my family has experienced as much as they have historically that I feel like it's an extraordinary privilege to even be able to see these things. It would be an abuse of my human power to ignore it, you know?
If you continuously consume this media, like it will make you like depressed. But then there's that line of like being somebody who's well informed and like understand about what's occurring in the world, and I guess being like a humanitarian, and then also trying to protect yourself to be able to give yourself to other people.
Filmer les événements tragiques très choquants pour faire vraiment du buzz, ça je trouve complètement ça immoral, c'est juste je trouve ça irrespectueux pour les gens qui en souffrent, et si c'est juste pour faire du clic, ouais non, c'est un peu, pour le coup ça je trouve ça très très immoral.
You know, for the first 150 years, it's not like everybody had access to a camera. A very elite community of people had access to a camera. And they used it in a particular way that visualized their understanding of the world, but it didn't necessarily capture anybody else's, right? So at the very least, let's just say that the media and the history of representational technology has always been biased, right?
Generally, no, I don't trust media because I feel like it's just so easy to like skew with like AI or like Photoshop. There's just a little too many things.
I think there's a huge amount of people, actually, you know, young people and I'd say like boomers too, like older generations, all in general, having a lack of trust in the media. And I think that goes along with just people having a lack of trust in authority in general in the 21st century and feeling that like their own interests are not represented by the media or by politicians in general.
My family particularly has had, you know, smear campaigns. We're part of a migration of Black people that came to Canada that wasn't really wanted, and the Canadian government actively sought to kind of discredit, tear us down over the media. It's like a weird little family community narrative about how we've been documented from the minute we got to the country, right? And the way that it was always turned into something not true.
Even like the media websites I use, like I don't like really trust any of them. I trust them, I guess, them in general, but they're all biased.
Et je connais quelques chaînes de radio que je vais plus affectionner parce que je sais que ils vont traiter les sujets de manière impartiale et sans prise de position les journalistes souvent restent impartial, ils prennent pas de position, quoi.
All the media broadcasters are pretty much owned by, 5 people, right? And they control the news that comes out. So it's, we're in a really bad spot right now as far as truth goes, you know? Influence and bias is everywhere in the media. So it's really, we're going to be hard pressed to find fact.
Yeah, in an era when like I think a lot of political divisions just come down to like 2 different conceptions of what's actually going in the world, I trust the media that is based on showing facts as opposed to like opinions, and then maybe integrating the facts to form an opinion, as opposed to the other way around, which would be having this conclusion and this political agenda in your mind, and then cherry picking all the bits of information that would create that narrative.
I think the question of trust, like the thought of it didn't really come into my head when I agreed to do this interview. But now that like you said that, I was like, that's something I should have asked myself. Like, do I trust this person to like take a video of me, take my words and kind of like distribute it in a way that is like truthful to me? But then I guess any time that you consent to another person taking some sort of production of you, you are kind of losing that sort of, I don't want to say agency. Yeah, well, you are losing that agency of how you will be depicted, and you just kind of have to trust that person's vision. And I guess, I don't know if I would use the word trust. It's not that I don't trust you. It's more so, I don't know. I don't know. Like,
So I just trust. I'm open. I'm open to seeing what you want to do.
I hella trust you. We go back a long way. I do trust you. Do you trust me?
Yes.
Alrighty then, good. So I was like,
so when you like asked me about the possibility of doing an interview, and I guess maybe I responded to that openness. And I think like even if maybe like I don't really know your politics, or I don't really know your views on certain things, but I guess I just responded to that openness.
And so I think that you'll cut something together that reflects us as human beings. It's all good.
I wouldn't say like I'm the most religious person. Like I am Muslim and I was raised Muslim, and like I believe in Islam, but I wouldn't say I'm the most religious. But I definitely have a very deep belief in God, and there's like it's like an unwavering belief of God.
Things. And because I grew up in I would say that the church that I grew up in was just shy of a cult, right? So there were all kinds of ways that I began to distrust the institution of the church, but I fundamentally am spiritual in the way that my grandfather was spiritual.
and so it's so embedded in the way I was like brought up that it was never like a second thought that like it was only coming here that I was like, oh, everyone doesn't believe in like a divine like higher power.
Well, music is a spirituality. It is. To me, it's spiritual. Why? Because I can express myself with it. And I don't just play the song because Picasso made it. I play the song because I feel it, what I see.
My grandfather learned how to read, period, by reading the Bible. There's something, a relationship between literacy and knowledge and self-seeking that I connect with religion all the time because of him and the way that he learned how to read, right?
Like there's this saying in like Japan where you like when you're washing your rice, like my parents would tell me to like not let any of like the grains of rice like fall into the sink because each grain of rice had like 10 gods in it. Now that has to do with like inducing like being like frugal and like not wasting, because it's not only like people, it's also like objects to like not like throw things, I guess, because you don't want to like disrespect your things, you know. There's like a lot of intentionality.
Like I also do have like I guess a deep connection, I guess, to like land and like earth a bit. I wouldn't say I have like the big like a green thumb and I'm always planting or gardening, but I think that I guess humans naturally have this connection to earth, especially women, and that we've like like lost it. And I think a lot of like capitalism, like a lot of things don't want us to connect with that part of ourselves.
So instead of waiting for my grass to be green, I go out there and I water it myself. So when I go out and I play music, because that's what I like to do, sometimes I put smiles on people's faces. And sometimes I get the cops running after me because it's too noisy.
I've enjoyed the privilege of being a preacher's kid. And then I am the most rebellious thing on the planet because I'm the preacher's kid. I've done everything ungodly that you can possibly think of.
The thing is that like a lot of religions, especially Islam, it's like, yeah, it's about your intentions, and it's about like being like a good person. I guess there's a lot of ways to define that.
I've given a lot of thought to the codependency between the sinner and the preacher, right? And how much they need each other. Preacher can't really exist unless there's a sinner, and a sinner can't really kind of redeem itself without, you know what I mean, right?
You know, God gave me a gift, man. You know, I've been playing since then, trying to succeed in life and say that at least, you know, as a person who's been in the streets most of his life, that he could contribute to society with his gift. If God gave him half a chance, it seemed like he gave me the gift, but what do I do with it, you know? So I'm trying to help myself.
And you could ask these questions, well, if there is a God, why does this happen? If there is a God, why does this happen? And like, as cliche as it sounds, you just kind of have to have faith, right? And that's what my name means, faith. Yes, it means faith.
The understanding that there's something like greater, I feel like that just brings me peace of mind. I feel like people being skeptical about that here when I first like came, it was like, oh, but that sounds like so scary. Like I feel like being spiritual, if you want to like call it that, is literally like the thing that keeps me like from losing my mind a lot of the time.
I think about him all the time. He's been gone for like 30 years, but that guy comes to me in my dreams and he tells me which way to go. It's deeply, deeply, deeply intuitively, spiritually connected to my grandparents to this day. I dream about them when I'm in trouble. They come and give me answers, you know.
I've just had a lot of, I guess, experiences in my life where I've gotten like, I guess, signs or messages, and it's like, I do believe that if you close yourself off to that part of life, it will never show itself to you. But if you open yourself up to it, it will show itself to you, and you're going to see that part of life.
Mostly for like easing my like anxieties of like just being like a human on this earth, because it can be fucking exhausting sometimes.
I'm being open-minded, no matter horns or not. The devil can tell the truth sometimes too, you know? Everybody's got horns, just mine show more than yours.